Okay, I'm trying to get in a better mood. I waited till the morning after. The morning after. Yeah, we waited on the morning after to talk about the worst defeat in Jacksonville Jaguars history. Now, if that doesn't tell you that there needs to be a change at the top, nothing does. And then you've got people on social media, and that's fine. That's what social media is for, because I'm on there too. We promote the Teal Shirt Report podcast, which you're watching to and listening to right now. We promote that on social media and in other ways as well. The big thing was, we'll take a look at a few NFL scores from yesterday. The Jaguars, Detroit on Detroit. There was even a pass play. John Gaylor got a little upset about it that Detroit challenged when they had a huge lead. But I'm going to tell you this, Dan Campbell, man, he plays to the final whistle, and they got a good team. And, they could be beaten in the playoffs early. They may make it through, they may make a deep run in the playoffs. We're talking about the Detroit Lions. But there was a time not too many years ago when Detroit was terrible because the Jags had what? The number one pick. They had the number two pick. They got Aiden Hutchinson at number two, kind of the guy they wanted, while the Jaguars are picking Trayvon Walker with the number one pick overall. Aiden Hutchinson is hurt in defense of that pick right now, but he's been a great player for Detroit when he was playing. Trayvon Walker, in my mind, a nice player, good player, nice player, but probably a second or third rounder. Now, you take a look at the scoreboard in the NFL, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to make kind of a quarter. We'll come back with other stuff. I'm sure there's going to be some breaking news eventually. NFL football, the Lions hammered the Jaguars 52-6. I think Detroit scored almost every time they had the ball. The Jaguars have a very good punter, Logan Cook. He was out there punting many times. And I think from the last couple of games, it's got to prove to you that Trevor Lawrence obviously is a better quarterback than Mac Jones, at least at the NFL level. There were some other interesting games too. Miami beat the Raiders 34-19. A few of the other NFL scores on Sunday, November the 17th of 2024. Green Bay Packers 20, Chicago Bears 19. Bears put up a nice fight. Saints, man, the Saints they beat a team. The Browns might have quit. They were a good team like the first month of the season, but man, they may have quit. The Saints beat them 35-14. The Saints. Patriots battled the Rams. Rams came up with a 28-22 win over the Patriots. LA Rams general manager Les Snead, man, I would love him in Jacksonville. Steelers 18, Ravens 16. The final, Ravens missed a 2-point conversion late in the game, and the Steelers hung on to win that game. And let's see, we picked the Steelers. The Steelers were at home, and the Pittsburgh Steelers won 18-16 over the Ravens. I picked the Jets to cover here, but man, when the Colts play the Jets, that's a crazy game. The Colts did end up winning. Anthony Richardson is back in the lineup. Hopefully, he won't tap out this go around. Colts 28, Indianapolis Colts 28, New York Jets 27 a final. That's just a few of the NFL scores. When we go back to this situation with Baalke, by the way, the Florida Gators, some great news. Florida's won 5 games. The Jaguars have won 2. And as far as Shad Khan being an owner of this team, well, yeah, he's the owner. But I think his first coach, you go way back to Mike Mularkey, and this is a very similar season. I'd have to go back and look up how many games the Jaguars won that year with Coach Mike Mularkey. It was not many. This year rivals that with only 2 wins, 2-9. Baalke does need to be fired. You look around the league, and when the Jaguars hired Urban Meyer, I didn't really have a problem with that hire. In fact, I think most Jaguars fans got excited when Urban Meyer was hired. Urban got less than 1 year. Doug Peterson took over the Jaguars the very next year, went to the playoffs, but now the Jaguars have headed downhill ever since. And you got these people on social media that are saying, man, you got to fire Doug Peterson. Well, that'll happen. There's probably a 95 to 99% chance that will happen. However, if you don't fire Trent Baalke, you are not getting to the root of the problem. Now, I'm a guy that's been on, terrestrial radio for 20, 25 years. We've done our audio podcast for like 5 years now. And you folks that have, watched me, or better yet, listened to me over the last 5 years, know that I brought these names up, like Jim Harbaugh. He was my number one choice. Right now, Jim Harbaugh just picked up another win. LA Chargers 34, Cincinnati Bengals 27. Jim Harbaugh's got 6 or 7 wins. We'll check the standings in a moment. Another guy that I really liked a lot after the Jaguars were not going to get Jim Harbaugh. I don't think they ever offered him the job. And he went on to 3 big years of winning 3 straight Big Ten championships in Michigan. And Jim's a better NFL coach than he is a college coach. We beat Ohio State 3 straight years in a row. The last year he was at Michigan, won the national championship, and now Michigan is not the same without, who's got it better than us, Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh has the LA Chargers contending for a playoff spot. The LA Chargers 34, Cincinnati Bengals 27. You remember the Chargers had the Jaguars down and out in that playoffs. Doug Peterson's first year, then Trevor Lawrence summoned something from within and had that huge comeback. Now, so now what are we now? We're almost 3 years. Jaguars. It's almost laughable. The Jacksonville Jaguars are 2-9. The Jacksonville Jaguars might have been the preseason champions. But now that tells you what preseason is worth. Absolutely zero as far as wins and losses. You develop your players, they get some work in. The preseason should actually be probably longer than 3 games. But ladies and gentlemen, it's all about the money. More regular season games, more money for the networks, more money for the contracts. Speaking of contracts, I can't say this about all the Jacksonville Jaguars players, but there are players on the roster. They are not earning their money. They're not earning their paychecks. Man, how would you like to cash one of their paychecks? They are not earning their paychecks. I saw players on defense that were going, 3/4 speed, half speed. And I know my executive producer is going to want me to call them out. Well, it's hard to just say 1 or 2 guys. I mean, now I did see Josh Hines-Allen playing well and playing hard during that football game. I will say that. I saw him make a couple of pretty good plays. I saw him move from his side of the field to Trayvon Walker's side of the field, and he made the tackle, Josh Hines-Allen. It was a terrible game, worst loss in Jacksonville Jaguars history. You talk about the names, and Baalke needs to be fired. I would try to hire one of the top 10 current. I'm not saying go get Bill B, and you know who I'm talking about. I'm not saying go get him. I think that's a colossal mistake. That's just my opinion. But I've given you my opinion many times. Over the audio, the 5 years of the audio podcast here on the Teal Shirt Report podcast. Please subscribe to our channel. I'm going to tell you, Baalke needs to be fired now because they've got to get to the root of the problem. If Baalke is the one that fires Doug Peterson, you're not getting to the root of the problem. No, ma'am, no, sir. You are not. Baalke needs to be fired. You got to grow some kahunas, Mr. Khan. You got to fire your boy. I know you guys are tight. General Manager Trent Baalke and General Manager Shad Khan. But this thing is, Shad, if you're listening to me, Let me tell you, and you might not be, but you might be. This is like you had Mike Mularkey, like he was one of your, I think, your first coach. And now it's back to where with Mike Mularkey. 2 wins this year for the Jacksonville Jaguars, 2-9. And the slide last season, losing 5 of your last games. Now, I understand the quarterback got hurt last year for a month or more. Apparently, he's hurt again this year with a left shoulder injury. I say apparently. I don't have access to doctors' reports. And Trevor may play after the bye week. He may play in the next game. I don't know. There's a chance he may be put on IR and not play anymore this year. How would you fans like those apples? And when did the injury occur? Well, most people are telling me it's all on the up and up. I mean, when Trevor can go, he will go. Okay. But Baalke needs to be fired. There's got to be somebody in the office there that can be the interim general manager, and then you go after a top 10 GM in the National Football League. My dream choice would be Les Snead from the LA Rams. Give him a money. Sean, you got all this money. You just bought a brand new yacht. Even if you got to sell the brand new yacht, man, money is no object, Neil. Money is a no object. Should be a no object in getting a guy like Les Snead or any one of the top 10 GMs that are currently, not some guy that's on your staff. Now, no, not some guy that's, not working now like Bill B. I mean, Bill B may be doing something. I'm sure he's being interviewed. He's doing commercials. And I'm talking about Bill B. He'll go down as one of the greatest coaches of all time, him and Lombardi. But you don't want him running your team. He's retired. He's done. You let him come back and he picks a successor. I don't like that. I do not like that. You need to cut it off at the root. You need to fire Baalke. This is my opinion. I'm the same guy that told you should have hired Sean Payton as a head coach. Should have hired Jim Harbaugh as a head coach. And I've said this in the history of this podcast. Doug Peterson, how my feelings were with Doug Peterson. He was not ever my top choice. I was not enamored or really wanting the Jaguars to hire Doug Peterson. However, when they did hire him, I accepted him like the majority of the fans did. My choices were Jim Harbaugh or Sean Payton. Now, I'm going to tell you something about these guys. The Denver Broncos were down and out when Sean Payton went there. They are now winning football games. I checked the scoreboard yesterday. Denver destroyed Atlanta. The Denver Broncos 38, the Atlanta Falcons 6 in Denver. LA Chargers beat the Cincinnati Bengals 34-27. Jim Harbaugh, head coach of the Chargers. If you want to pull the standings up, we can do that too. Buffalo Bills were big winners. I picked Buffalo in the football pool. They were 1.5 point favorite because they were at home. Buffalo beat the Chiefs. Maybe a different story in the playoffs, but this go around, the Buffalo Bills beat up on the Chiefs. They did. We'll take a look at the other NFL scores. Minnesota 23-13 over the Tennessee Titans. We had Minnesota in the pool to cover the 5.5 points, and they did. They won by 10 points. Indy, that surprised me. Indy 28, the New York Jets 27. Anthony Richardson is back out there for him. Baltimore and Pittsburgh, AFC North battle. It's a rivalry. Pittsburgh won it 18-16. The Ravens missed on a 2-point conversion with about a minute to go in the game after they scored a touchdown. Miami 34, Las Vegas Raiders 19. I'm surprised Miami won by that many points, but they did. LA Rams, GM'd by Les Snead. LA Rams 28, New England Patriots 22. And the worst defeat in Jacksonville Jaguars history, the Detroit Lions 52, the Jacksonville Jaguars 6. Green Bay held on to a 1-point lead. That was a come-from-behind win for Green Bay and Jordan Love. Green Bay 20, Chicago Bears 19. That is a huge rivalry as well. Going back to Thursday night, Philadelphia Eagles last Thursday night 26, and the Washington Commanders 18. Some people call them the Washington Redskins still. I like that name. Washington football team, but Philadelphia won that game last Thursday night. Philadelphia Eagles 26, Washington Redskins 18. Monday Night Football game tonight. Houston Texans at the Dallas Cowboys. Houston's about a 7.5-point favorite. I like Dallas to lose by less than the 7.5. They could win, but I think they maybe lose by 3 or 4 points, and that would be good. We took Dallas in that particular game. We could take a look. We could take a look at the standings. Baalke needs to be fired, and most people know that. They're 2-9. But you got to cut the problem off. You really do. You got to get to the root of the problem, and that's going to be GM Trent Baalke. That's my opinion. Some of these free agents now, Baalke's done a decent job on free agents. Some of these guys, man, they ain't working out. I can make a list of who's working out and who's not, but the free agents this year have not been huge contributors. Gabe Davis, nobody touched him. He pulled up lame yesterday. Hamstring is what I was told by Mr. Gaylor. So, Gabe Davis, man, his signing has been almost, would you say it was a poor signing, a below average signing, or maybe even a disaster? And there's more players besides Gabe Davis. There's a free agent or two on defense you could say the same thing about. Baalke needs to be fired. I don't know how much clearer it can be. San Francisco got upset by Seattle. Seattle 20, San Francisco 49ers 17. The Jaguars now look like the old San Francisco 49ers when Baalke was the GM his last couple of years and they were losing a lot of games. The 49ers went down after Jim Harbaugh left. As far as, let me see here, we'll take a look at the standings. Now, this usually tells a picture. It really does. By the way, on our previous episodes, you need to subscribe to the channel because you can go back and listen to stuff about college football. We've got our SEC Power Rankings on the last episode. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, and you'll be better by morning time. Or, I should say, you'll actually have access to all the content and be alerted when we go live, because we go live sometimes too. Buffalo Bills 9-2. Man, they got a lead in the AFC East, don't they? My gosh, they're like 4.5 games ahead of Miami. Miami's in second place at 4-6. Jets at 3-8, trying to make a run, but man, they're 3-8. New England Patriots 3-8. Steelers with their 18-16 win over Baltimore on Sunday, November the 17th. Pittsburgh, all of a sudden, with Coach Tomlin, they're 8-2. They're like they are a game and a half ahead of Baltimore. Baltimore Ravens are 7-4. Bengals having not that good a year at 4-7. And the Cleveland Browns, like the Jaguars, have packed it in. The Cleveland Browns are 2-8, and one of their 2 wins came against Jacksonville. In our division, AFC South, Houston Texans 6-4, Colts 5-6, Tennessee Titans are 2-8. Will Levis threw a long touchdown pass. The guy that likes mayonnaise in his coffee. Will Levis. Tennessee did lose that football game to Minnesota, but Will Levis threw a long touchdown pass. Give him credit, but the Titans are 2-8. I don't think Calvin Ridley's helped them that much. They just didn't want anybody else to sign him. Jacksonville Jaguars rock bottom of the AFC South, 2-9 and a half a game behind the Titans. Trent Baalke needs to be fired. Kansas City Chiefs are 9-1. LA Chargers and Harbaugh have 7 wins or 7-3. The Denver Broncos, who like 2 or 3 years ago, man, they were the worst, one of the worst 2 or 3 teams in the NFL. And now Peyton record at 6-5. That's all the standings I want to look at right now. I don't need to look at the stats from yesterday's game. We know, by the way, it's a cool morning, Monday morning, very cool morning. Monday morning, November the 18th, 52 degrees here in Jacksonville, Florida for our low temperature on Monday morning. November the 18th, 52 degrees, beautiful, clear skies. Going to be sunny during the day and actually become partly cloudy tonight. High temperature 77 during the daytime. Lows at night around the 50s. Winds out of the south at about 5 to 7 miles per hour here in Jacksonville. Beautiful, beautiful weather. I want to thank our sponsors, Saucer Realty and Capital. For your real estate needs in North Florida, you'll find their link on the website at bigjreport.com. Also, the madmaxmix.weebly.com. I've got the sponsors on the ticker on our YouTube portion of the podcast or broadcast or podcast, if you will. Teal Shirt Report is brought to you by Saucer Realty and Capital for your real estate needs in North Florida. The madmaxmix.weebly.com. Mad Max is a great show. Max's Wednesday night request show. And also, we're brought to you by Lakeview Fall of Hits and JC's Thursday night show live from the pub show at lakeviewfallofhits.com. Great internet radio where it's all good. Those are the sponsors. All of our sponsors on our website at bigjreport.com. I think the internet's kind of fading in and out on me because I can see on the screen we're still absolutely recording. Florida Gators, huge win. How about those Gators, man? That was a huge win for Florida. Florida and Georgia both won. I don't want to get into too much college football because I want you to go back and look at the episodes with our bigjreport.com SEC power rankings. Florida did beat LSU. Florida 27, LSU 16. The quarterback DJ Lagway made a big difference for Florida. Running back Ball, a nice long touchdown run. And I saw a pass from DJ Lagway to the Florida tight end. That was a thing of beauty, man. The tight end, he looked like Gronk on the play. And you know, Coach Brian Kelly with LSU, he's yelling at players late in the game, and coaches are allowed to yell at players. Of course, he's using some expletives, a couple of F-bombs. People were reading his lips. But the player, one of the players, I think one of the top-notch wide receivers for LSU, he was yelling back at Kelly. NIL, it's a different era of college football. I can tell you that. Tulane beat Navy. We had Tulane in the football pool. Tulane 35, Navy nothing. Texas 20, Arkansas 10. Clemson 24, the Pitt Panthers 20. Close game there. South Carolina playing good football. They beat Missouri. South Carolina at home 34, Missouri 30. The Georgia Bulldogs. We got a Georgia Bulldog football insider, Mad Max. Georgia came from behind to win this one. Very similar. The Georgia-Tennessee game was very similar to the Georgia-Florida game. Tennessee had the lead, had a chance to win. Georgia came back. Give Carson Beck and the Dogs credit. Georgia 31, Tennessee 17. Again, the happy news from Gainesville. In the swamp at Florida Field, the Florida Gators 27, LSU 16. The score, Florida won by 27-16. Those are the type of scores that head coach Billy Napier wants to end up with on the scoreboard. A fairly low-scoring team with his team on top by a touchdown or more. That's the way he won at Louisiana as well. That's going to do it for the Teal Shirt Report podcast. Special thanks to our executive producer, JC. We got to fire Baalke, man. It's the only way. You got to get to the root of the problem. It is Trent Baalke. A new GM comes in, Les Snead or somebody else. But Shad Khan, you got to offer a top 10 GM in the National Football League a money is no object deal. I know you're going to hang on to the yacht, but other than that, you got to go get a top 10 GM. That's a current GM in the National Football League, somebody you can get who's coming out of his contract or can get out of his contract. Hire him, let him run the team. Shad Khan doesn't need to hire or fire coaches anymore. I think he hired Malarkey. My God, Malarkey. But I'm going to tell you, Malarkey, he only got 1 year. Doug Peterson's had, 3 years now, right? And what about Trent Baalke? Trent Baalke was here with the Jaguars long before Urban Meyer came along as an assistant to general manager Dave Codwell. You got to get to the root of the problem. Right now, it's general manager Trent Baalke. You need a top 10 GM. That is a top 10 GM from one of the top 10 teams in the league the way they're run. Let the GM run the team, Shad Khan. Give them, you're going to have to come out of your pocket. You can't pinch any Benjamins this time around. And you're going to have to hire a top 10 GM. I heard some rumors on social media that Tony Khan is going to get more involved with the team. Now, I understand Tony Khan and Bill B are somewhat friends. I've heard that. I don't know how true it is. Bill B is not the answer. He's not even a short-term answer. You need to go high, just get to the root of the problem, fire Trent Baalke, and hire a top 10 general manager who is currently a general manager, a top 10 general manager in the National Football League. That is the answer to the problem. I mean, nobody listened to me. Tired, go get Jim Harbaugh. Nobody listened to me when I said, you got to get Sean Payton, after he left the Saints. Now Denver has him, and they're 6-5. The LA Chargers got 7 wins. Where are the Jacksonville Jaguars, a team I've loved, followed, and covered in the media and been a fan of since 1993? Our Jacksonville Jaguars are 2-9. Thanks to our executive producer, JC, for eloquently producing our podcast today. I want to thank Alex Nunnery, one of our other producers. And of course, John Gaylor. John, we went through some tough times during that game. Players not earning their salaries, not all of them, but a few, maybe a good many. Ponder that. And remember, General Manager Trent Baalke does need to be fired. The Jacksonville Jaguars are 2-9. They're coming off the worst defeat in team history. I mean, you let Detroit hang 50 on you. Jaguars were leading in this game 3-0 at one point in time in this football game. We need to score again. I think we do. Jacksonville Jaguars lose after leading 3-0. Detroit Lions 52, the Jacksonville Jaguars 6, the final score. That's going to do it for this edition of the Teal Shirt Report podcast, episode show number 63. If you want some North Florida entertainment, college football, the Big J Report, SEC Power Rankings, go to previous episodes. They're up there on YouTube, or they're in the can in our audio versions of the podcast as well. There's more stuff on YouTube right now, so check us out. Teal Shirt Report podcast. I'm Scott with BigJReport.com. I'm your host for the Teal Shirt Report podcast. You guys have a great day. Don't forget about the sponsors. They're all on our website at BigJReport.com. Salsa Realty and Capital, Lake Eufaula Hits, and the MadMaxMix.weebly.com. Have a great day. Thank you for watching the Teal Shirt Report podcast. Executive producer JC, I kept it under 30 minutes today. How about those apples?